Hi guys! If you have a petrol or a diesel car, you might be wondering whether you should go for an EV car. And then another question pops up in your head. What about hydrogen? What if hydrogen comes along? And then what will happen to my EV vehicle? In this video, we are just going to explore this. What is the status of hydrogen cars and hydrogen in general? And how soon can we expect hydrogen to be a kind of fuel which can be called a mainstream fuel? So before we begin this, it is important for us to understand what are the different classifications of hydrogen. So hydrogen is only one, right? H2, that's it. But when we refer to the classification of hydrogen as a fuel, then we refer to it in the terms of how the hydrogen was created, how the hydrogen was generated. So there is gray hydrogen, there is blue hydrogen, and there is a green hydrogen. So all these three types of hydrogens, you might be wondering whether it's actually colorful or is it something else. So it is not about the color. So it is about the process. So gray hydrogen, the process used is steam methane reforming. So in this process, the traditional fuels like coal is used to produce hydrogen, and once the hydrogen produced, there is still a lot of carbon dioxide in the environment because of the way this hydrogen has been produced. That's why it is called gray hydrogen. Then comes the blue hydrogen. The process is same as the gray hydrogen. The only thing is that the carbon dioxide which is generated is captured and stored, thereby making it greener than the gray hydrogen. Then comes the green version of hydrogen, the green hydrogen. So in this, the renewable energy is used to produce hydrogen. That means solar panels or wind. These kind of renewable energies would be used to produce hydrogen through electrolysis. This method is totally sustainable and environment friendly. And this is the holy grail for hydrogen usage as a fuel in different sectors, different industries, and in vehicles. In this video, we will discuss a report about PwC, the green hydrogen economy, predicting the decarbonization agenda of tomorrow. So this article basically deals with green hydrogen economy, and there are three important key findings of this particular study. Demand growth will grow at a moderate, steady pace through niche applications until 2030 for green hydrogen, and after 2030, demand growth will accelerate, particularly after 2035 onwards. Hydrogen demand by 2050 could vary from 150 to 500 million metric tons per year, depending on global climate ambitions and the development of sector-specific activities, energy efficiency measures, direct electrification, and the use of carbon capture technologies. So now we will try to go deeply into this report and try to understand the different aspects of it. So cost is one of the important areas for manufacturing of green hydrogen because renewable energy is still costly. So gray hydrogen as of now is inexpensive. It is 1 to 2 euros per kilogram, whereas if you talk about green hydrogen, the cost might range from Euro 3 to Euro 8 kg in some regions. So that means the cost of green hydrogen is 3 times that of gray hydrogen, which is one of the major factors that needs to be taken care of in terms of expansion of usage of green hydrogen. So now there are three scenarios in which the whole report revolves around. These scenarios are about the temperature. If we want to reduce the global warming to the lowest temperature increase, then there is a certain scenario which rolls out, and similarly it's for other scenarios. It's based on temperature. So there are three categories related to the ambition to reduce global temperature rise. If the ambition is low, it's greater than 2.3 degree centigrade global warming. And if the ambition is medium, 1.8 to 2.3 degree centigrade global warming. And if it is really high, contain the temperature to the lowest possible ceiling, then it should be less than 1.8 degree centigrade global warming. Now there is a scenario of long-term development of hydrogen demand. So till 2030, the demand is going to be steady, which is going to rise after 2035. For green hydrogen, we need electrolyzers. So currently, the plants which we have for the production of green hydrogen are of the capacity of approximately 50 megawatt. And the plants which are under construction for the green hydrogen are somewhere in the capacity of 100 megawatt. They are still of the lower capacity than the production capacity of grey hydrogen. That means grey hydrogen is going to be produced more till 2030. And also there is another challenge which we would face is transportation of hydrogen. For that we might need the pipelines, which would take approximately 10 to 12 years to set up, though we might be able to use the existing pipelines in some of the cases. So now comes the usage of hydrogen. So what do we think the hydrogen would be used? So there is a certain percentage which European hydrogen roadmap has depicted for the European Union. 39% of hydrogen uses is in the industry sector, 30% in transport. It is this is approximately 70%, 26% in heating and power for buildings, and 5% power generation. So that means approximately 40% of the hydrogen usage would be in the industries, followed by the vehicles. If you look at this graph, we can see that in all these three scenarios, the demand for hydrogen, the green hydrogen, is rising. In the best case scenario, we can see that in 2025 it might rise from 50 metric ton to 600 metric ton per annum. So there are three key results of this analysis. Through 2030, hydrogen demand will grow at a moderate steady pace, though there will be many niche applications across the industrial, transport, energy and building sectors. Through cross-sector collaborations, new alliances will form to develop hydrogen projects. Hydrogen production costs will decrease by around 50% through 2030 and then continue to fall steadily at a slower rate until 2050. If you look at this map, then we can see that different regions have different costs for producing green hydrogen in the year 2024, and if you look at India, it would be somewhere in the range of 4 euros per kg. But now if we fast forward this to 2050, then we see that the cost in India would also go down to approximately 1 euro per kg. And there would be very few regions across the globe where the cost would be something like between 4 to 5 euro per kg. In this another map, we can see the status of import and export of energy market, and if you look at particularly on India, we can see that India would be kind of a neutral player. That means the import and export might not be much from India, whereas Australia would be the net exporter. Now we will just look at graph from this report from McKinsey, and we can see that global clean hydrogen demand outlook across different scenarios. The global demand of green hydrogen is rising, whereas the demand for grey hydrogen is going down. So in this graph, industry is expected to be the biggest driver of clean hydrogen demand until 2030. Mobility could overtake industry by 2050. So if you look in the graph, in the year 2050, the existing industrial usage is 121, whereas for mobility it has become 147. That means in the year 2050, mobility might overtake existing industrial use in the described scenario. So as we mentioned earlier that there will be two challenges for this: cost and infrastructure. And in terms of infrastructure, the future hydrogen economy will likely require infrastructure scale up and tech advancements to meet demand. For example, if you look at road transport, 163,000 refueling stations for trucks would be required, and more than 400 giga scale factories to manufacture fuel cells would be required. And if you talk about industrial and residential heating, more than 40,000 kilometer hydrogen pipeline would be required in Europe by 2050. 69% of the pipeline could be repurposed of natural gas pipeline, 30% new pipeline stretches would be required. So in terms of demand, so as of now most of the growth is happening in Asia, so naturally the demand for green hydrogen would also come mostly from Asia. If you look at this graph, then we can see that most of the demand is coming from the countries based out of Asia, Greater China, India, Japan and South Korea. Combining all these three, it would be huge demand of green hydrogen in Asia. Now it would be interesting to see this graph where we can see that all the type of hydrogen, green, blue and grey hydrogen, how they would coexist for certain time period, and then when as the technology progresses, the green energy becomes dominant. So in North America, we can see that the green hydrogen is becoming slowly dominant. Basically, it is a combination of green and blue hydrogen. In China, we can see that gray hydrogen is getting phased out almost, and green hydrogen has taken over in the scenario by 2050. Similarly, in Europe, Middle East, green hydrogen is taking prominence. So globally also, the gray hydrogen would become less and the green hydrogen usage would become more. So by 2050, a global hydrogen trade could emerge to connect demand centers with resource-rich export hubs. If you look at this image, we can see that different regions of the world are getting connected for hydrogen trade, and the green hydrogen would be moving from one country to another. So from 2023 to 2030, the global green hydrogen industry is expected to grow at a CAGR of 61.1%. 61.1% CAGR is a phenomenal CAGR for an industry to grow at such a breakneck speed, and we hope that the market would follow this prediction. In India, Adani Group is to invest approximately $100 billion in energy transition, as you can see in this news. So the question we asked in the beginning for the people who have a petrol car, whether they should move to EV or how they should look at the hydrogen cars. So the answer is that EV is going to be there for a certain window of period, and after that there are high chances that the mobility might switch to hydrogen. But there are approximately 2 decades between these two events. So from the period of 2025 to 2045 to 50, this transition will keep on happening, and just like we have seen that the gray hydrogen, green hydrogen, blue hydrogen will coexist, in the similar manner the electric vehicle and the green hydrogen vehicle will coexist on the roads. But green hydrogen would start picking up maybe in the middle of 2030s. I hope you like this video, and if you like this video, please do comment, like and subscribe. Do comment if you like us to work on some other topic. Thank you very much.